So here we have the Shift Pro boot from Salomon. Now I have done a quick look at this boot in the past, but let's now jump in and give it a full review. So the Shift Pro sits in the Salomon lineup as their hybrid style boot. It's in that all mountain free ride category, and it really is just as capable skiing all day in the resort, or if you want to take it out and do some backcountry touring, it has all of those associated AT features. So it is a boot that can really serve as that one ski boot quiver. Now there is a bunch of versions of this boot. In the men's models, there is a 100, 110, 120 and 130 flex. And for the women's models, there's a 90, 100 and 110 flex version. Now, as you look at the difference between these different models of boot, as you go up in the flex rating, they do become progressively lighter weight. Also, the other thing you'll find is as you're going up in these flex ratings, you're getting more tech built into the liners. And also in the 130 flex men's, you're getting a more powerful ratchet buckle strap at the top. So this boot is really versatile from both its functionality, but also its fitting capabilities. Now, it's a boot that's actually quite customizable and able to be easily manipulated to suit a whole wide range of feet. Now, construction-wise, it is built from a familiar platform from the S Pro series. So it shares that same 100mm last, but also carries through a lot of those features from the All Mountain boot. And this is where you see things like the oversized pivots, the core frame midfoot reinforcement, the grip walk soles on the bottom, the SensiFit insert over the instep to get your boot on a little easier, and also the custom shell HD for that heat molding capability. Now where the Shift differs is we get a little bit extra built in. You're getting the Dynafit tech inserts for pin bindings, also getting more lightweight AT focused buckles, and on the back there is this Shore Lock hike ski mechanism on the back. Now, the other thing of note with this boot, differing from the S Pro, is they've lowered the stance height. So they've actually brought your foot down, built in to be a little bit closer to the ski. And with that, they've actually changed a little bit of the internal of the boot. So we'll dive in, take a look at the liner and also the boot board. So with the liner, now this is Salomon's seamless liner. Now, it isn't 100% appropriately named because there is still a couple of seams, and I'll show you them. Right along the front at the toes, you'll see one stitched to the outer, but also they are taped seams. So you can see down the front and right down the back is where there are two that are taped over at their connecting point. But anyway, it's still a very comfortable and cushy liner. There's a nice amount of squishiness with the foam on the tongue. Also, there's a very nice felt on the back under the calf. Now, along with this, it does have a good shape. It is a pre-shaped 3D liner with some nice ankle pockets. So that really does help in getting a good grab in the heel. There's also a handle on the tongue and on the back, so good leverage for stepping down into the liner. Quite a broad elastic over the top to help everything stay nice and snug and feel held in. Also, there's the option of lacing loops on this liner, and also it's articulated. So on the back, there is sort of a softer mesh panel, which just allows more flex as you're on the stride in this boot. So the seamless liner is something that I like a lot. And it does mold and pack in quite well with a bit of use or a heat mold. Back to the boot itself. Now, a few features I just want to talk about before we move on to anything else. First, let's talk about this boot board. Now, with Salomon lowering that stance height, they've actually taken away the full boot board, and now it is just a half-length boot board. Now, the reason for this is they just didn't have the space. So down in the front, if I can open it up and show you, the boot board sits above this core frame, and then down in the front, there's actually a series of milled out grooves into the shell, and it actually puts your position of where your foot will sit down into this toe lug. So you are sitting quite low, and I guess the theory on this is just to give you that better flex through the ski, as you can be quite elevated, especially in some of the touring bindings. A couple of other things I just wanted to quickly point out. Also with these buckles, being the more lightweight touring focused buckle, also on the ladders, on the cuff, you're getting the touring hooks built into the ladders. So that's a really nice feature to have that locked in for touring mode without releasing your buckles completely away. They also flex, but it also works as a bit of a chase when you're looking to do them back up with some tension. Also the power strap. Now it is a very lightweight power strap. It's fully riveted into place, but the feature I do like about it is there's a bit of a grab tab, so with gloves you're able to undo the power strap quite easily. Now the boot board itself, it is screwed into place, so there is a fixing screw. But the thing we should really take a closer look at and have a talk about is what's built into the back in this Sure Lock mechanism. And this, in my opinion, is a really clever design. Now what's happening with this Sure Lock mechanism is essentially splitting the back of this boot into 3 separate components. Now you can see down low here, there is this hinged pin. Now this is connected to an independent internal spine. Now that acts as the connecting element between the upper cuff and the lower shell. You can see when we get into walk mode, you do get quite a bit of articulation. You're looking at 45 degrees range of motion in walk mode. But the beauty of this system is actually when you're getting the boot to lock back into ski mode. You can see down in the lower shell, they've actually cut quite a bit of scoop out of the lower shell to get this amount of stride. And this spine, once it gets back into place, actually fills in all of this void. So by the time you lock the cuff back into place, you're getting an extremely solid connection between these 3 parts. And that's actually able to retain a lot of power that's able to be generated down the back of the boot. So this really is superior compared to a lot of other AT boots that are purely relying on a metal connection or just a lighter weight ski hike mechanism on the back. So overall, what do I think about the Shift? Well, I am pretty stoked on it. Now, it is not the most powerful boot if you're looking to do some technical skiing and get a lot of power in a carve. It's also not the most lightweight or have the most range of motion if you're looking to stack a whole bunch of miles in the backcountry. But it is a boot that does come together to allow you to ski a little bit of it all. So if your ski days are a little bit more free-ridey, if you're chasing power laps in the morning, maybe skiing through that varied crud throughout the day and a couple of slack country laps in the afternoon, also a boot that's going to allow you to do a few of those bigger backcountry trips throughout the season, this boot totally fits the bill. Now from a fit perspective, a lot of people are going to be happy in this boot. It's very resort friendly, it's also very capable to handle a lot of different feet. Now I really wish that they'd expand this range. I'd love to see the Shift built into a 98mm low volume and also possibly a higher volume 102 to 104 would really open up the range for this boot in particular. Now if I'm to talk any negatives, I'd just say maybe with this low stance height, you're maybe a little bit more exposed to the elements. So you'd want to mitigate to keep this boot a little bit warmer for you. Also, I wish that there was a couple of more interchangeable components in its construction. But as a boot that is that true all mountain, take it wherever you want and it does ski quite well for its weight, then this is one that you should really consider. So on the Stoke meter on the Shift, I'm going to give this one a pretty solid rating of 8.5. Thanks guys, catch you next review.